Tonight, with Loretta Sullivan.
In the world tonight, Toronto's Boys of Summer clinched their division. The Blue Jays are in the American League Final after downing the Orioles 4-3. But the threat of a TTC shutdown could make it tough to get to home games. All that and more when the world tonight begins right after this. Blue Jays staged yet another come-from-behind victory today and captured the American League East Division title. And as Bill Turbovich reports, the 4-3 victory over the Baltimore Orioles transformed a usually staid Toronto into a city of celebration.
Little did she know her programs would become collector's items. For on this day, the Blue Jays cast aside the doubters, the skeptics, with yet another cardiac comeback that has become their trademark. Old Baltimore fans put on a good face. They were confident their Orioles would win, and win big.
They're going to rock the Jays, is what I think. They're going to rock them. It's going to be, I figure Cal Ripken, I want to see 2 homers from Cal Ripken, and I want to see about an 8-0, 9-0 ball game.
But there were others who had a different view. In fact, they considered the game money in the bank. It was a matter of time before these pennants would bear the truth. They had to wait until the 9th inning, but Tom Henke left no doubt, and the Sky Dome erupted.
The Toronto Blue Jays are Oakland bound.
Oh, beautiful! Fantastic! It's really nice. We're the greatest. We're going to be world champs this year. I think so.
Absolutely fantastic. One of the best games I've ever seen. They played fantastically. Just wasn't it great?
All right.
All right, Blue Jays, we're number 1. We're going all the way.
Blue Jays.
Toronto not only shed its so-called choker image, it also shed its inhibitions. Conservatism was thrown out the window.
Number 1, the World Series. Whoa! The World Series. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. George Bell, MVP all the way. That's it. Nobody else.
So for the second time this decade, the Toronto Blue Jays have people dancing on the pillars, running in the street, honking at everything that moves, and cheering in the taverns. Pennant fever appears to be contagious. Bill Turbovich, Global News, Toronto.
With the Blue Jays now advancing to playoffs with Oakland, baseball fans are expected to descend upon Toronto in droves. However, getting to the ballpark will be quite the ordeal if the TTC holds firm on its promise to lock out employees who don't comply with its rules. Marlene Trotter reports.
Thousands of fans today relied on Toronto's public transit system to get to the Blue Jays game at the Dome. They don't want to see the buses and subways shut down.
Chaos. Third. Well, for the second time in 5 years, the Blue Jays are champions of the American League East. Today's 4-3 win over Baltimore was so typical of what the Jays have done down the stretch. Good pitching and timely hitting as Toronto made the most of only 4 hits to snuff out the Orioles' hopes. Today's victory also erased the choke label the Jays have had to live with since the disappointment of that final week in 1987. Let's check things out here. First inning, the Jays come calling as George Bell punches one through the right side. Lloyd Mosby scores to make it a 1-0 game, and the fans are expectant at that point. Meantime, Jimmy Key was good early on. Here he gets Mickey Tettleton looking in the second. Top of the third, though, Frank Robinson gets into the act and says, hey, wait a minute, the lights were on to start the game, then they turn them off. I want them on again. So we had an 8-minute delay. Cito's arguing. Jimmy Key's getting a little cooler. And as a result, when the Orioles get up to the plate again, they start to get to Key. A man on for Cal Ripken. He goes into the left field corner. Little controversy here as the fan grabs the ball, and that's a double, but they allow Bradley to come around and score. Cito says he should have stopped at third. The umpire said, I think he would have scored, so we're going to let him go. And, of course, Cito was not too impressed with that kind of talk, and it was 1-1. Then the O's take the lead as Randy Milligan singles home Ripken, and it's 2-1 for Baltimore. We go now to inning number 4. The O's add to their total. Bill Bradley grounds to Tony Fernandez, and the speedster just does beat the throw, and another run scores, and it's 3-1. Bottom of the 8th, the Jays come calling. Mookie Wilson goes the other way with a pitch. Nelson Liriano scores. Jays trailed by 1 at 3-2. Then it's Freddie McGriff singling to right. That scores Rob Ducey. This ball game is all tied up at 3 runs apiece, and the fans excited. Then George Bell goes the other way, and this is plenty deep enough to score Mookie from third. That set up the bottom of the top of the ninth, and here's what happened.
Now they're a strike away from clinching. The 1-2 pitch. The Toronto Blue Jays are Oakland bound.
Well, strangely enough, Frank Wills, who gets the win, is not eligible for postseason play. After the game, this was the scene in a joyous Toronto locker room.
Hey, I feel great. We'll win. That's all that counts. And we're winning home. You know, a lot better.
Like I said, it's always a gamble out there, no matter what you do. And you can only hope that things turn out right for you, and they turned out right for us today.
I think this team really carried the burden of '87, which makes it even more special. I think the monkey's off of a lot of people's backs, and we go on here. I think Toronto's been trying to establish a tradition. Hopefully, we started one today.
This ball club came a long way. We fought hard, but people thought we were out of it. There was a lot of adversity, but we fought through it, and now we're champions. So the next thing, go into Oakland and try to win another ball game.
We just came up a little short. You know, we're going to, each our own individual way, we're going to have to absorb the year and take what we can out of it and come back next year stronger.
They have nothing to be ashamed of. They played it as hard as they could play. They gave it their best shot, and they come up a little short. The other thing is that team across the way knew they had to win it. It wasn't given to them, and they did it. And they were the best team this year, that's all. And now we know what it takes, and we'll come back next year and go after them again.
You bet. The American League Championship Series opens Tuesday night in Oakland. Dave Steeb set to start for Toronto against the Athletics' Dave Stewart.
Third one down.
Seen in bars and taverns as fans cheered on the Jays and toasted their victory.
I took aspirin.
Clinical evidence.
The Toronto Blue Jays outdueled the Baltimore Orioles, overcame their own history, and now it's on to Oakland. The Blue Jays won the American League East today, rallying for 3 runs in the 8th inning to beat Baltimore 4-3 and end their September showdown. The Jays took over first place September 1st after the surprising Orioles held the top spot for most of the season. Toronto, haunted by a history of big game losses, won its 2nd division title in 5 years like champions. They edged Baltimore 2-1 in 11 innings last night, helped by an 8th inning comeback, and came back to do it again today. The Blue Jays will now open the playoffs Tuesday night in Oakland. Before that, they will finish off the regular season against the Orioles tomorrow afternoon in a game that doesn't mean much now that the Jays are playoff bound. Here's the tape from the Sky Dome where it was difficult to talk to the person next to you. The excitement at the Sky Dome could be felt across the country. Another sold-out crowd in Toronto. First inning, a runner on third, George Bell, singles into right field. Lloyd Mosby scores from third base, and the Blue Jays took the lead 1-0. That lead held up until the third. Phil Bradley on second. Cal Ripken hits one to the corner and left. A fan interferes on the play. That allowed Bradley to score. Ripken wound up on third, and the Orioles tie the game 1-1. The very next batter is Randy Milligan. He singles to left. Mookie Wilson comes up throwing as Ripken turns third and heads for home. Mookie's throw is offline. Ripken is safe. Baltimore took the lead 2-1. Same inning, Phil Bradley singles home Mike Devereaux from third base as the Orioles jumped out in front of Toronto 3-1. We move to the 8th inning now. 2-on for Mookie Wilson, who singles off Mark Williamson to left field. Nelson Liriano scores from third, and it's 3-2. The very next batter, Fred McGriff. He singles to right field. Rob Ducey into pinch run, crosses the plate, and it's all tied up at 3. Next up, George Bell. He hits a sac fly to right field. Mookie Wilson on third tags up and scores the go-ahead run. It's 4-3 as the fans at the Sky Dome explode in delight. Bottom of the 9th inning, Tom Henke blows a K past Joe Orsulak to end the game as the Toronto Blue Jays win the American League East pennant with a 4-3 win over Baltimore. Of course, after the game, you can imagine what the Blue Jays dressing room was like. Champagne was flowing and lots of celebrating, but not only by the fans, management, and the players themselves. Here's post-game reaction from the Blue Jays on their big victory.
I think the biggest thing is that we want the, just having that opportunity. We wanted to keep the fans into the game, and I tell you what, the fans were tremendous. They were our 25th man. And, wow, is that cold. But,
right there.
Was it noisy? Yeah, it was great. I mean, to me, they were the 25th man for us.
Just taking it all in and enjoying it. The only times I've seen stuff like this is on TV, and it's not quite the same.
You like being part of it, huh?
Oh yeah, it's great.
It's their party. They went out and did it. And, you just like to see them have fun because they deserve it. They played hard all year, and they came together shortly after Cito took over, and they deserve to be having a lot of fun.
I went at them one hitter at a time. I told myself when I went out there I was really pumped. The crowd really gave me a great ovation when they announced my name, and I said, okay, just stay within yourself, do the things you've done all year, get that first hitter, and then get the next guy.
This definitely does. I've never been a part of something like this before, and hopefully we can go on and win the World Series, and it's all uphill.
Tough game. Feels great. We knew it was. We knew it was. We expected it. And we knew just if we could stay close, it's the type of club that could explode and score the runs when they needed to.
Yep. Now it's on Oakland, and I'm sure we'll be the underdog there, and that's the way I like it. It's been a great year. It's one that we can look back and enjoy for a lifetime. The way that we came back and played hard, although I tell you what, Baltimore, they never quit it. They just kept going. And I hope all of them are proud of themselves because they should be.
Well, I think 3 of the last 5 years we've been the last weekend deciding the American League East and wouldn't want to have it any other way.
Well, I'll tell you what, the first time you always win it, that's the greatest thing. There's some guys in here that this is their first time, and they got to love it and they got to appreciate it. They came from a long way back, this team. They played some great baseball second half of the season.
Okay, of course, the Oakland Athletics are next up starting Tuesday night in Oakland. Well, to recap, it was Toronto 4-3 over Baltimore. Frank Wills got the win. Tom Henke picked up his 20th save. Of course, Tuesday's game is in Oakland, but before that, it will have the final game in the series between Baltimore and Toronto tomorrow afternoon on CKCO-TV. Game time is 1:30. Elsewhere, Milwaukee beat up on the Boston Red Sox by a count of 3-1. Kansas City over Oakland, get this one, 6-1. Chicago 8-2 over Cleveland as the Yankees beat up on Detroit 9-2. Texas is in front of California 1-0 in the 4th inning, and Minnesota at Seattle on the West Coast scoreless in the 4th inning. Over in the National League, Philadelphia doubled up on the Montreal Expos 6-3. Houston 9-2.
The bats blue pitch. From the major leagues to neighborhood diamonds, it's the way we play. By Esso, going that extra mile. And by Xerox, we answer to you.
How about those Blue Jays, Canada? You gotta believe, and the Blue Jays did. You go back to May the 15th. There were 12 games under 500. One of the great comebacks in sports. And today they're going to play their final game of the regular schedule. But it has been one of the great success stories of the sports season, the Toronto Blue Jays. And now for the final time this season, let's go up top, and here's Don Chevrier and Tony Kubek.
Thank you, Fergie. And after all the excitement of yesterday, it's a little like arriving at the party just as you find out the food is all gone. There's still some very delicious morsels, though, on the table. Young players who have a big future with both these teams. And, of course, the scintillating prospect of a championship series just hours away in Oakland, Tony.
And in all the revelry, you forget some of the people who will not be in the league championship series. Xavier Hernandez, remember him? Gazzo, 4-0. Glenn Hill, grand slam. Virgil, 2-run home run. How about Frank Wills? 4 innings yesterday, 1 base hit.
His final appearance, his most meaningful one, but because of the roster cutback, he will not be eligible to play at Oakland. The Jays fly out tonight, hoping for their 90th win before they go. Stay with us on CTV from the Sky Dome.
I felt like if we were to win this.
You don't mind that one bit, though, do you?
I don't know what to say. It's unbelievable.
He's going to hang on to those.
We never gave up. We made the best of our opportunities, and God forbid we would not make these champs.
Felt good. Felt like I was in control out there the whole time, and I was in a similar situation in '85, and we had to go the next day. I made sure I stayed back and kept in mind the things I had to do.
It actually turned out to be, oh, look at this. The quiet guy is, there goes my $10 suit. Okay, that's enough. I don't have no more left. Let's go.
A tough day in the office for Fergie and some of the others, but a happy day nonetheless. We'll be back in just a moment on Labatt's Blue Jays baseball from the Sky Dome on CTV. Probably has a big hangover today of celebration last night that has carried on to the wee small hours. They were up and down Young Street reveling into the night. These fans here who saw so much disappointment in years gone by, certainly '87 was the crowning disappointment and the crowning success again. The match '85, perhaps your pass it, Tony, came yesterday.
Well, the celebration for the players will last approximately one more day when they head for Oakland after the ball game to the Oakland Alameda Coliseum. Some of them already, I'm sure, are talking about the Oakland Athletics, but look at this, a standing O.
And they deserve it. It is fitting that the crowd does that today because that's the way they started the series. When the Jays first took the field Friday night, a thunderous standing ovation got them on their way to 2 wins over Baltimore. Today, it's a tribute to the champions of the American League East. Nunez takes the mound for his warm-up pitches.
First start since he's been called back, one of the bright young arms of this organization. I see we may have a lineup change. Originally, Infante was penciled in on the master lineup of Cito Gaston in the clubhouse. But Tony Fernandez takes the shortstop spot. It's a little bit of a surprise for us because he was not in the original lineup, and it may have a lot to do with Tony saying, I want to play. He is going to, we all think, set the record for shortstops for fewest errors in a major league season. It is presently held by Eddie Brinkman, who made 7. Tony has made just 6. To qualify for that title, you have to play in at least 2/3 of your team's games. He already has the record. He could have sat out. So he has decided, and Eddie Brinkman played over 150 games that year. He decided he wanted to play. Apparently had Cito change it.
He doesn't want to back into it the final day. It's a tribute to Tony Fernandez. You're right. Nunez is going to face Brady Anderson in center field, Chuck Finley in right. The shortstop, Cal Ripken, you knew he'd be here no matter what the situation was.
For the hope for postseason play, they would probably go with just 9 pitchers, get Rob Speed and his defense in there, and maybe another bat. Felix, Glenn Allen Hill, talked about his grand slam, a very important game. Olrud, Liriano Fernandez, and Mulix. Greg Myers, the left-handed hitting catcher, catching Nunez. Fergie?
Well, Tony, there was one other player that was unhappy that he wasn't in the lineup today. George Bell walked into the clubhouse, went over and looked at the lineup card, saw his name not in it, and he got mad. He wanted to play today.
Another name you don't see there is Fred McGriff, but he is DHing, and with good reason, because he's got to get that swing refined to get him out of this slump. He may have broken out of it yesterday, certainly with that big hit that helped turn the 8th inning around.